I never thought my phone buzzing on a quiet Sunday morning would drag me back into the ugliest memory of my life. I was sitting by the window of my downtown apartment, coffee steaming in my hand, silk blouse still wrinkled from yesterday's late-night work, when the notification lit up my screen. It was a message from my sister, Clara. "Mom says you need to take it down. People are talking. It's embarrassing." I froze, my thumb hovering above the glass. For a moment, I just stared at the city's skyline outside, the glass towers catching the early light, pretending her words didn't sting. But they did. They stung in that deep, old place, the one I had buried under years of silence and success. They were talking about the video. My wedding video. The one filmed at the nursing home, the place where James and I had vowed forever, surrounded not by chandeliers or rose arches, but by softly humming medical machines and weathered faces that smiled at us anyway. I had posted it online months ago, not to flaunt, but to honor what it meant to me. Love without pretense. Yet somehow my mother and sisters saw only shame. They mocked it then, laughed about it, whispered in corners. And now, after the world saw what they tried to diminish, they were begging me to erase it. I set my mug down slowly, feeling the weight of their voices pressing against the calm I had built. My lips curved, not in sadness this time, but in something dangerously close to defiance. I was 23 when I first realized my family would never see me the way I wished they would. Back then, I was still the dutiful daughter, helping Mom with errands, listening to Clara's endless critiques, and trying to make myself small enough to fit their idea of who I should be. The night it all broke open, we were sitting around the kitchen table. I had just told them I was engaged to James. My heart was pounding with joy, my hands trembling as I showed them the simple gold ring he had slipped on my finger. Mom's response? A bitter laugh. "In a nursing home? Are you out of your mind, Emily?" Clara leaned back in her chair, smirking. "Seriously, everyone dreams of a beach or a ballroom. And you're settling for what? A bunch of wheelchairs and bingo cards?" The words hit like stones. My throat tightened, my hands curled into fists under the table. They didn't know James the way I did. They didn't see the way he cared for his father, who was living in that nursing home. They didn't understand why it mattered that his father, too frail to travel, could be there, front row, to see his only son get married. I swallowed hard, but the tears still pressed at the corners of my eyes. "It's not about the place," I whispered. "It's about love. It's about family." But my mother just shook her head, disappointment etched across her face. Clara rolled her eyes, muttering something about me always being so dramatic. That night, I went to my grandmother's house. She was the only one who ever believed in me, the only voice that never wavered. She listened quietly, her hands, soft, wrinkled, smelling faintly of lavender, folded over mine. "Emily," she said gently, "sometimes love asks you to stand taller than the people who try to shrink you. Don't let their laughter make you small." Before I left, she pressed something into my palm, a silver locket. Inside was a faded photo of her and my grandfather, smiling in front of the church where they'd eloped. "We had nothing but love," she whispered. And it was enough. That locket became my anchor. That night, I knew what I had to do. I walked away from the kitchen table, from their voices that doubted me, and stepped into a future where I would define myself, not by their approval, but by my own courage. Starting over felt like standing at the edge of a cliff with nothing but a whisper of faith to keep me from falling. After that night, I moved out of my mother's house and into a tiny studio apartment on the east side of town. The walls were thin, the floor creaked with every step, and the radiator hissed like an old cat, but it was mine. Independence tasted like burnt coffee and instant noodles, but also like freedom. I wore my grandmother's locket every single day. Whenever the doubt crept in, when Clara's mocking voice echoed in my head, when I thought about Mom shaking her head in disappointment, I would touch the cool silver against my chest and remind myself that I had chosen this life. I started small. I worked 2 jobs, one at a bookstore during the day and another waiting tables at night. My body ached, my feet blistered, and more than once I fell asleep with mascara smudged across my pillow, But those early months hardened me. I was saving every dollar, not just to survive, but to build something. James believed in me more than anyone. "You have an eye for design," he told me one night, as we sat surrounded by secondhand furniture I had rearranged until the place actually looked charming. "You should do something with it." And so I did. I started taking free online courses in interior design, sketching layouts on napkins between shifts, haunting thrift stores for furniture I could restore. Slowly, I began to post my projects online. Before and after photos of forgotten chairs turned into statement pieces, or dingy apartments transformed with nothing but paint and patience. The turning point came when a local cafe owner reached out after seeing my work on Instagram. "We can't afford a big firm," she admitted, "but we love your style. Would you consider helping us redesign our space?" I almost cried right there, holding that message. My first client. My first chance. It wasn't glamorous. I spent hours sanding tables, choosing fabrics, convincing the owner that yes, plants really could change the vibe, but when the cafe reopened, the place was alive. Light poured in through sheer curtains, the walls carried a warm terracotta hue, and customers stayed longer, laughing, working, living. Word spread. One project led to another, and then another. Small businesses, young couples, even a boutique hotel owner who saw potential in my fresh, budget-savvy approach. I built a portfolio, then an LLC, then a brand. I named my company Silver Locket Designs, after the necklace that carried my grandmother's faith. But through it all, I kept quiet with my family. On social media, I posted modestly, a smiling photo here, a vague update there. Nothing to hint at the contracts I was signing, the checks I was cashing, the late nights I was spending in my polished studio office downtown. To them, I was still Emily, the dreamer, the dramatic one, probably scraping by. And honestly, part of me liked it that way. Because every time they underestimated me, every time they dismissed me, it fueled me to climb higher. I wanted the day to come when they would walk into my world, and for once, they would see me not as the girl they mocked, but as the woman I had become. The confrontation came on a gray afternoon I'll never forget. I was in my office, a sunlit corner space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river, when my receptionist buzzed me. "Emily, there are 2 women here to see you. They say they're family." My stomach clenched, even before she said their names.
Mom.
Clara. For a moment, I couldn't move. I stared at the sketch spread across my desk, the design plans for a multi-million-dollar hotel renovation, my pen frozen mid-note. It had been years since they last stood face-to-face with me. Years of silence broken only by the occasional curt message or secondhand gossip. And now they were here. I smoothed the silk of my blouse, glanced at my reflection in the glass wall, lipstick intact, hair pulled into a sleek bun, locket gleaming against my collarbone, and told my receptionist to let them in. They entered timidly, their eyes darting around the room like children stepping into a cathedral. Clara's smirk faltered as she took in the clean lines of my office, the modern art framed on the walls, the awards displayed on glass shelves, the subtle scent of fresh lilies in the corner. Mom's mouth opened slightly, her gaze falling on the gold lettering above my desk, Silver Locket Designs. "This is yours?" Mom whispered. "Yes," I said simply. "All of it." I let the silence stretch, let them take in the reality of what they had dismissed as impossible. The girl they had mocked for wanting love over spectacle, the daughter they had rolled their eyes at, now stood before them a business owner, a name recognized in design circles far beyond our hometown. Clara tried to recover first. "Well, we didn't know you were doing this well," she said, her voice too bright, too practiced. I tilted my head, studying her. "You never asked." That shut her up. I walked slowly around my office, running my hand along the back of a velvet chair I had custom designed. "When I got married at the nursing home, you laughed at me. You said it was pathetic, embarrassing. You mocked the one day that mattered most to me, because it didn't look the way you thought it should." Mom shifted uncomfortably. "Emily, people talked. It wasn't normal." I turned sharply, meeting her eyes. "Normal? Love doesn't need to be normal. It needs to be real. And James and I chose real." The room went quiet. I could feel their shame thick in the air, and for once, I didn't shrink from it. I let them sit in it, let them realize just how wrong they had been. Finally, Mom cleared her throat. We came because, well, people keep sharing that wedding video. It's gone viral, and your name is attached. We thought, maybe you should take it down. For the family's reputation. I laughed then. A full, unrestrained laugh that echoed off the glass walls. For the family's reputation? Do you even hear yourselves? That video is a testament to love, to perseverance. It's my story. And after everything you said, after mocking me in front of friends and neighbors, now you want me to erase it because it embarrasses you. Clara's cheeks flushed. Emily, please. You don't understand how people... No. I cut her off, my voice firm. For once, you don't understand. That video stays. My life stays. And you'll have to decide whether you want to be part of it or keep standing on the outside, looking in. They both sat frozen, their silence louder than any insult they had ever thrown. For the first time in years, I felt the power shift fully into my hands. I let the silence stretch until it became almost unbearable. Clara fidgeted with the strap of her purse, while Mom's gaze dropped to the floor, her fingers twisting together like a schoolgirl caught in a lie. For years, I had been the one shrinking, apologizing, trying to fit into their narrow definitions of success and respectability. But now, the weight was on them, and I wasn't about to let them off easily. I built this life. I began slowly, choosing my words with care. Brick by brick, night after night, while you both doubted me. You laughed at me for marrying in a nursing home, for choosing love over appearances. You mocked me in front of people who mattered to me. And yet here you are, asking for something. Clara shifted uncomfortably. We didn't mean to. Yes, you did. I cut in sharply. You meant every word, and you need to own it. Their eyes darted toward me, surprised at the firmness in my tone. I leaned back against my desk, folding my arms. I'll give you this much. I'm willing to let you back into my life. But not without conditions. Mom finally looked up, wary. Conditions? Yes, I said, my voice steady. If you want to be part of my world, you need to start respecting it. That means no more mocking, no more belittling. You'll support me openly, or not at all. When someone mentions my wedding, you won't call it embarrassing. You'll call it what it was, beautiful, because it was. Clara frowned, but I didn't stop. And for you, Clara, I continued, turning to her, it's time you stop hiding behind sarcasm. You've spent your whole life tearing people down because you're too afraid to build something of your own. If you want to be around me, I expect you to work on yourself. Go back to school, start that business you always talked about, get therapy, something. But no more standing still and lashing out at everyone who moves forward. Her jaw dropped. That's not fair. It's more than fair, I said, my voice calm but firm. Because I don't need either of you. I have a husband who loves me, a business I built, friends who support me. If you want a seat at my table, you're going to have to earn it. Mom swallowed hard, her voice trembling. And if we can't, I smiled softly, though my chest ached. Then you'll keep living your lives the way you always have. But without me, without James, without the family you turned away from when you laughed at us. The words hung heavy in the room. For the first time, I saw something flicker across my mother's face, not superiority, not disappointment, but something raw, regret. Clara's eyes filled with unshed tears, though her pride kept her chin lifted. I didn't rush to comfort them. This was their moment to sit with the truth, to reckon with it. I had carried the pain for years. Now it was their turn. The weeks that followed were quieter than I expected. For days, I didn't hear from Mom or Clara. Part of me braced for the silence to stretch into years, the way it had before. But then, slowly, things began to shift. Clara was the first to reach out. She sent me a message late one night, almost hesitant. I signed up for night classes. Interior architecture. Thought you'd find that ironic. I stared at the screen, a smile tugging at my lips despite myself. It wasn't an apology, not directly, but it was a beginning. Mom took longer. When she finally called, her voice carried a fragility I had never heard before. "I watched the wedding video again," she admitted softly. "I saw James holding his father's hand. I saw your face. You looked happy. I should have seen that then. I'm sorry I didn't." Her words didn't erase the hurt, but they cracked open a door I had long assumed was sealed shut. We began slowly to rebuild. They came to my office again, this time not to question, but to listen. They attended one of my project launches, sitting quietly in the audience as I unveiled a new design. I noticed Mom's eyes glistening when my company name was announced, and for once, I didn't feel bitterness. I felt peace. One evening, after a long day, I stood by my window, the city glowing beneath me. I reached for my grandmother's locket, running my thumb over the worn silver. I thought about her words, that love asks you to stand taller than those who try to shrink you. She had been right. That locket had carried me through doubt, through loneliness, through the nights I questioned if I was enough. Now, as I looked at the life I had built, the husband who adored me, the business thriving beyond my dreams, and yes, even a family slowly learning to grow, I realized I had never truly been small. I had only been waiting to see myself clearly. The video stayed up, of course. Not just because millions had watched it, but because it was a piece of my story, a defiant testament to the love and grit that shaped me. And whenever people asked about it, I told them the truth, that it was the most beautiful wedding I could have ever dreamed of. I smiled, whispering to the city below, as if to my grandmother herself. I chose real, and real was enough.